adjacent to the road and cars that burned because of the vegetation that was adjacent to the road. Nobody died in those cars. But that's another discussion for another time. We use the term firescaping at Fire Safe Marin. There are other places that use that. May not be in common terminology, but we consider firescaping to be the intersection of landscaping and hardscaping, the retaining walls, paths, things that features that are built into the ground in your landscape areas. This is where I'm going to sort of transition towards Greg's talk, still focusing on what's required by law. That landscaping and hardscaping, the hardscaping itself, firescaping, is designed to keep heat and flames and embers away from your house. This is one of the best photos I've seen. Again, this is from 6 months ago. The Kincade Fire, Sonoma County. This is a retaining wall that's doing exactly what I would have hoped to do. I hope that the landscape designer thought of this when they built this wall there. It's directing the heat and the flames up and away from the house. This house survived the fire.
How high is that wall?
That wall's about 5 feet at its peak. Yeah. A 6-inch wall can make a difference. Yeah. Just a decomposed granite path in the landscaping that has no wall can make a tremendous difference, keeping that fire from spreading along the ground of the house. This is a house where the fire actually burned along the ground of the house. The house was also bombarded by embers, no doubt. But this is a good illustration of where the leaf litter on the ground burned right up to the retaining wall and stopped when it hit that retaining wall. This is just an illustration, a photograph to show you that you can have a beautiful, beautiful green, lush landscape around your home. You do not need to denude the landscape around your home. This may not be the best example. I think we're yet to find a native plant. Well, I see some poppies in there. In these examples, but they're pretty examples of landscaping and hardscaping that's well maintained and that would provide fantastic protection to any home that landscaping was installed around. The fire department, when enforcing the fire code, will be looking for ladder fuels, things. This is vegetation. Well, oftentimes, most often, dead vegetation on the ground that could potentially carry fire up into treetops. It could be immature trees, could be shrubs, fire-prone shrubs especially, that could carry fire up into treetops. This is a terrible illustration. This is in every CAL FIRE booklet you're going to see on defensible space. This looks nothing like the landscape at any place in Marin County. We do not have any continuous conifer forest besides small area in Inverness and West Marin, where we have some Bishop Pine, Douglas Fir forest in a couple places. Really doesn't look like our landscape, but the concept applies to any trees, any place. We want to keep the fire from spreading from the ground to the treetops. Okay. There we go. We're going to really push through here. And this is there's no problem. This is the part where I talk like the auctioneer. This is where the real overlap is with Greg's talk. We talk a lot about juniper. Juniper, as you guys know, is public enemy number 1 with Fire Safe Marin for a variety of reasons, largely because it burns like crazy. It's difficult to maintain. It can be maintained if you're a master gardener and you make it into a bonsai. It can be maintained in a way that's relatively fire resistant. This person, it was a bummer to have to tell them they had to pull all of that out. They surrounded it with their gorilla hair. I'm not going to show this video. Most of you have probably seen it, but this is an illustration of a 100-foot tall wall of flames across the street that did not, well, I might as well. 100-foot tall wall of flames did not burn the homes, but the choice of one juniper bush in this person's front yard doomed their home, burned down every house on the street. Every house on this street had one juniper bush by their mailbox and a green lawn. In the course of 10 seconds, these flames are now 30 feet tall, licked up underneath that house. Every house on this street burned down. It wasn't the forest fire across the street, it was a tiny ember that landed in the juniper bushes. This is Stephen Rucker. I'm going to gloss over this real quickly. It deserves more. Stephen Rucker was a friend of mine. We were colleagues. We fought fires together. He died because of somebody's juniper bushes in their front yard. He burned to death on the front steps of a house in San Diego County in 2003, trying to save their home. Italian cypress, non-native I know there's some discussion about this. In Italy, they use Italian cypress in some places as fire breaks. It doesn't work that way here. This is a community, a neighborhood in Windsor. No homes were destroyed in this particular neighborhood. In fact, the only vegetation that burned in this neighborhood when it was rained upon by embers, this neighborhood was heavily defended. Dozens of fire engines were here when the fire struck. You can see those Italian, this is before from Google Street View. This is what it looked like when those Italian cypress were the one plant that ignited. You can see right here in between those homes, the poor choice between those homes for privacy screening. There were better options, there were native options. There's Italian cypress burning in Sacramento County, dramatic. What I want to, well, there's Italian cypress burning in Southern California. What I want to talk about, if I can have one extra minute. In Marin in 2016, we developed, all of the fire agencies, all of the land management agencies, you homeowners groups, through community meeting process, a collaborative effort, rewrote our community wildfire protection plan, which is a plan that's actually required by an act of Congress, the Healthy Forest Restoration Act, to access federal funds for wildfire prevention. We rewrote this plan. It's a science-based plan that looked at every inch of land in Marin, looked at the fire risk and hazard, and came up with a prioritized list of ways we can reduce that risk and mitigate our hazard in this county. This was adopted before the North Bay fires. This was not a reaction to the North Bay fires. It had been adopted 6 months before the North Bay fires put this on your radar. This issue's always been on our radar. The community at large wasn't really engaged in this until after the North Bay fires. This plan's just a plan. It's 110 pages of paper. It's meaningless if we don't enact the recommendations in the plan. We have the prioritized list of projects, but our budget to enact those is $0. The fire agencies have no responsibility legally to maintain people's vegetation, to maintain vegetation and open spaces, to enact the things. It's not just vegetation maintenance. In fact, the majority of this plan is identifying vulnerabilities to evacuation routes, problems with our traffic signals. We were aware that our traffic signals would only operate for 3 to 6 hours during a power failure, long before you were, which happened when we had the public safety power outage last October. We need to fix those issues. To do that, we need a coordinated effort in Marin.
In California.
I don't have time to show you, it's only a 30-second video, but the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority is our answer. It is our only hope at addressing these issues. It's on the ballot. The Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority has been created. It's an organization that has a budget of $0. 19 fire agencies were asked to join, 17 joined. If you live in Tiburon or Belvedere, please speak to your elected officials about why they chose not to participate in this organization, because your communities are vulnerable. That said, Measure C on Tuesday's ballot will fund that organization to the tune of $19 million a year, which is not everything we need, but it's a fantastic step in the right direction, and it will make a dramatic, measurable impact on your community's ability to withstand wildfires by addressing everything from traffic issues related to evacuation routes, to vegetation management, to home hardening evaluations for every property in Marin every year, and a variety of other approaches. So since I'm with Fire Safe Marin, we're a nonprofit and we're an advocacy organization, I'm asking that you consider voting yes on Measure C.
Absolutely.